Cambodia and Thailand, two nations side by side in the heart of Southeast Asia. They share more than just a border, a rich history, vibrant cultures, deep-rooted traditions. For centuries, their stories have been intertwined, traded goods, shared customs, and even intermarried. You can see these connections in their food, their art, and their languages. From the bustling markets of Bangkok to the ancient temples of Angkor, a common thread seems to weave through both societies. This shared heritage should, in theory, create a strong bond between them. It should be a foundation for friendship and cooperation, a reason for them to stand together as neighbors. But look beneath the surface and a different story emerges. It is a story not of harmony, but of tension. It is a narrative filled with suspicion, rivalry, and outright conflict. For decades, the relationship between Cambodia and Thailand has been a delicate dance, often tipping over into hostility. Diplomatic ties have been strained and at times completely severed. Protests have erupted in their capital cities, fueled by anger and nationalistic fervor. The border, which should be a symbol of connection, has frequently become a front line. This long history of discord has left deep scars on both nations, shaping their politics and influencing the lives of ordinary people. The world often sees just glimpses of this long-running feud. We might see a news report about a border skirmish, or perhaps we hear about a diplomatic spat over an ancient temple. These incidents make headlines for a day or two, then fade from view. But for the people of Cambodia and Thailand, these are not isolated events. They are painful reminders of a conflict that seems to have no end. The tension can simmer for years, quiet but ever-present, before boiling over unexpectedly. It is a complex and often misunderstood relationship, one that cannot be explained by a single event or a simple disagreement. Why has peace been so elusive for these two neighboring kingdoms? What are the forces that continue to pull them apart, despite their shared history? The answers are not simple. They are buried in centuries of history, in competing claims over land, and in deeply ingrained national pride. The conflict is a complex tapestry woven from many different threads. To truly understand it, we must look beyond the immediate headlines. We have to explore the historical grievances, the cultural differences, and the political maneuvers that have fueled this rivalry for generations, creating a cycle of mistrust that is difficult to break. To many outsiders, the ongoing friction between Cambodia and Thailand can be puzzling. It is easy to dismiss it as a distant regional issue, a minor squabble between two small countries. However, this view misses the bigger picture. This conflict is more than just a series of border disputes. It is a story about identity, history, power. It is about how nations remember their past and how they see their place in the world today. Understanding this conflict is important not just for the people of Southeast Asia, but for anyone interested in how international relations work. It shows how old wounds can continue to shape modern politics, often in surprising and volatile ways. In this essay, we will delve deep into the reasons behind this enduring conflict. We will move past simple explanations and explore the 15 key factors that have kept the countries at odds. These reasons range from ancient imperial rivalries to modern economic competition. Some are rooted in events hundreds of years ago. Others are driven by political realities today. Each reason adds another layer of complexity. By examining them one by one, we can begin to piece together a more complete picture of why these neighbors struggle to find lasting peace. This journey will take us back in time, to the fall of great empires and the drawing of colonial maps. We will explore the sacred temples both nations claim as their own. We will show how politicians on both sides have used nationalist sentiment to gain support. And we will examine how economic interests and military actions have added fuel to the fire. This is not just a history lesson. It is an exploration of issues that affect millions today. These issues influence foreign policy, shape national budgets, and impact daily lives along the volatile border. Our goal is a clear, comprehensive overview of this multifaceted conflict. We will break down each of the 15 reasons with context, facts, and examples. By the end, you'll have a deeper appreciation for the historical weight and modern pressures shaping Cambodia-Thailand relations. Understanding these reasons is the first step towards seeing why reconciliation has been so difficult and what it might take to build a bridge of peace. Let us begin by exploring the first set of reasons that have sown the seeds of discord. The story of the conflict often begins with the glorious Khmer Empire. At its peak, from the 9th to the 15th century, this powerful empire dominated much of Southeast Asia. Its heartland was in modern-day Cambodia. Its capital, Angkor, was a sprawling city of incredible wealth and architectural marvels. The famous temples of Angkor, Angkor Wat. From here, Khmer kings ruled over vast territories that included large parts of what is now Thailand. This period is a source of immense national pride for Cambodians. It represents a golden age, a time when their civilization was the region's preeminent power, shaping culture, religion, and politics for centuries. This history is not just a distant memory, it is a living part of Cambodia's national identity. The image of Angkor Wat proudly adorns the Cambodian flag. However, this history is also a source of deep-seated grievance. For Cambodians, the decline of the Khmer Empire and the subsequent rise of Siamese or Thai kingdoms is a story of loss. They look back at the historical record and see a narrative of encroachment and subjugation. The Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya, which grew in power as Angkor weakened, eventually sacked the Khmer capital in 1431. This event is seen as a pivotal, tragic moment in Cambodian history, marking the beginning of a long period of decline and foreign domination. For Thailand, the history is viewed through a different lens. The Thai people see their own history as one of successful nation-building and resilience. They do not see themselves as aggressors, but as a people who carved out their own destiny in a region of competing powers. While they acknowledge the cultural influence of the Khmer Empire in art, architecture, and court rituals, they see it as something they absorbed and adapted into their own unique culture. This differing interpretation of the same historical period creates a fundamental disconnect between the two nations' self-perceptions. This ghost of Angkor continues to haunt the relationship today. For many Cambodians, there is a lingering sense that Thailand's power and prosperity were built upon the ruins of their own empire. They feel that their cultural heritage was plundered and their territories were stolen over centuries of conflict. This perspective fuels a sense of historical injustice and a deep-seated suspicion of Thai intentions. On the other hand, many Thais feel unfairly cast as historical villains. They often grow weary of being blamed for events that happened centuries ago, viewing it as an attempt by Cambodia to leverage historical victimhood for political gain in modern disputes. This clash of historical narratives forms the very first and perhaps deepest crack in the foundation of their relationship. So, the border between Cambodia and Thailand is not just a line on a map. It's a complex social landscape where cultures and peoples mix. For centuries, this frontier has been fluid and poorly defined. People have moved back and forth, trading, farming, and intermarrying. This created a mixed zone where ethnic Khmers live in Thailand and people of Thai descent live in Cambodia. One key group is the Northern Khmer, or the Khmer Surin. Ethnically Khmer, they live in lower northeastern Thailand, in Surin, Buriram, and Sisaket. These lands were once part of the Khmer Empire. Their presence inside Thailand is sensitive for both governments. For Cambodian nationalists, the Khmer Surin are a lost population, separated from their motherland by historical twists and colonial map-making. They see Thai assimilation as an attempt to erase Khmer identity, Khmer language, and Khmer culture. Some feel these provinces rightfully belong to Cambodia, a sentiment that resurfaces in tense moments. That belief fuels claims that Thailand is occupying Cambodian land and oppressing its people. From Thailand's view, the Khmer Surin are Thai citizens. The government promoted Thaification to build national unity. They acknowledge Khmer heritage but see the group as one of many ethnic threads in Thailand. Any Cambodian rhetoric is treated as a challenge to Thai sovereignty and a dangerous incitement to secession. For border residents, life is complicated. They may feel culturally connected to Cambodia but hold Thai citizenship, left caught in the middle. The unresolved ethnic question keeps the border a place of suspicion and potential conflict rather than cooperation. If there's one issue that could really encapsulate the entire Cambodia-Thailand conflict, it would be the dispute over the Preah Vihear Temple. The root of the problem lies in maps drawn during the French colonial era. A joint commission was supposed to use the natural watershed as the border, which would have placed the temple on the Thai side. However, a map produced by French officials in 1907 showed the temple squarely within Cambodian territory. The dispute was taken to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. In a landmark 1962 ruling, the court sided with Cambodia. It decided that Thailand's failure to object to the map for over 50 years amounted to its acceptance. The ruling awarded sovereignty of the temple itself to Cambodia, celebrated in Phnom Penh, but met with outrage and disbelief in Bangkok. The ICJ's ruling, however, was tragically ambiguous. While it gave the temple to Cambodia, it did not clearly delineate the border for the surrounding land. This ambiguity left a critical question unanswered. Where does one draw the line for the land immediately adjacent to the temple? This has been the source of endless conflict. Cambodia argues that the land around the temple is necessary for access and is part of the temple complex. Thailand claims the land leading up to the cliff's edge as its sovereign territory. This has resulted in a bizarre and dangerous situation where the temple belongs to one country, but the easiest access route is controlled by another. In 2008, after Cambodia registered Preah Vihear as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, tensions flared dramatically. Both countries sent troops to the disputed area, leading to a series of deadly military clashes that lasted until 2011. Soldiers exchanged gunfire and artillery shells. This resulted in casualties on both sides and the displacement of thousands of civilians. The battle for this small patch of land became a full-blown military standoff, showing how a historical and legal dispute can ignite into real-world violence. The temple, once a place of worship, was transformed into a militarized fortress, a stark symbol of the unforgiving line that divides these two nations. National pride is a powerful force in any country, but in Cambodia and Thailand, it often takes on a particularly sharp and competitive edge. In both countries, politicians and media outlets have frequently stoked nationalist flames to rally public support, to distract from domestic problems, or gain an advantage in diplomatic disputes. In Thailand, nationalism often manifests as a defense of the country's sovereignty and its revered monarchy. The idea that Thailand has never been colonized is a cornerstone of national pride. Any perceived challenge to its borders, like the Preah Vihear dispute, is seen as an attack on this legacy of independence and strength. Criticism of the Thai monarchy is a serious offense, and Cambodian actions or statements that are interpreted as disrespectful can provoke intense public anger. This potent mix of territorial integrity and royalist sentiment creates a highly combustible environment where compromise with Cambodia can be portrayed as a sign of weakness or even treason. In Cambodia, nationalism is rooted in a narrative of survival and resilience. After the horrors of the Khmer Rouge regime and decades of civil war, rebuilding the nation's identity has been a central goal. This has led to a fierce and sometimes defensive pride in its cultural heritage, especially the legacy of the Angkorian Empire. For many Cambodians, standing up to Thailand is a way of reasserting their country's sovereignty and proving that it is no longer a weak vassal state. A prime example was the 2003 burning of the Thai embassy in Phnom Penh. The riots were sparked by a false news report that a Thai actress had claimed Angkor Wat belonged to Thailand. The rumors spread like wildfire, tapping into Cambodian fears of Thai cultural appropriation and leading to a violent outburst that shattered diplomatic relations. This event really shows how quickly nationalist fervor, fueled by misinformation, can spiral out of control with devastating consequences. On the surface, religion should be a unifying factor between Cambodia and Thailand. The vast majority of people in both nations practice Theravada Buddhism. This common spiritual foundation should, in theory, foster a sense of brotherhood and mutual understanding. However, religion has also become entangled in the national rivalry, creating another point of contention. The issue often revolves around the concept of religious hierarchy and purity. The Thai Sangha, or community of monks, is a highly structured and state-supported institution. Some in Thailand view their form of Buddhism as more organized or correct, sometimes looking down on the Cambodian Sangha, which was nearly destroyed during the Khmer Rouge regime and has spent decades rebuilding itself. Conversely, Cambodians take immense pride in their own Buddhist traditions, which they see as directly descended from the spiritual practices of the Great Khmer Empire. They may view Thai Buddhism as having been heavily influenced by their own historical traditions. Disputes over cultural and religious ownership are common. Each side may claim to be the true inheritor of a particular tradition, turning a shared heritage into a contest over authenticity. This transforms faith from a bridge into another battleground for national pride. When a sacred site like Preah Vihear becomes a point of conflict, the religious dimension amplifies the stakes. It is no longer just a dispute over land, but a fight to protect a holy place, a sacred part of the national and spiritual identity. In this way, the shared faith of Buddhism, which holds so much potential for reconciliation, has instead been drawn into the vortex of nationalism, becoming another reason why true peace remains just out of reach. Beyond the ancient temples and historical grievances lies a modern-day battleground: the economy. The economic relationship between Cambodia and Thailand is vast, but it is also deeply asymmetrical. Thailand is a regional economic powerhouse with a far larger and more developed economy than Cambodia. It is one of the largest foreign investors in Cambodia, in agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing. This investment brings much-needed capital and jobs to Cambodia, but this significant imbalance creates its own set of problems. Many Cambodians view this economic relationship with a degree of suspicion. There is a fear that this economic dominance is a new form of control, replacing the military subjugation of the past. When Thai companies acquire large land concessions for plantations, it can stir resentment among local populations. This fuels a narrative that Thailand is exploiting Cambodia's resources and cheap labor for its own enrichment, echoing the historical pattern of a powerful neighbor taking advantage of a weaker one. Thousands of Cambodian migrant workers cross the border, both legally and illegally, to seek higher-paying jobs in Thailand's construction, fishing, and agricultural industries. While this provides a vital lifeline for many Cambodian families, it also creates vulnerabilities. These workers are often subject to exploitation, poor working conditions, and discrimination. When diplomatic relations between the two countries sour, these migrant workers can become pawns in the conflict. Crackdowns on illegal labor or sudden border closures can have devastating consequences for individuals and send economic shockwaves back to Cambodian villages that rely on remittances. Furthermore, competition over resources in the Gulf of Thailand adds another explosive layer to the economic rivalry. Both countries lay claim to overlapping maritime areas that are believed to be rich in oil and natural gas reserves. Negotiations over a joint development area have stalled for years, entangled with issues of sovereignty and national pride. The potential for immense wealth has turned these undersea territories into a high-stakes geopolitical issue. Each side accuses the other of intransigence, believing they are entitled to a larger share of the potential bounty. This standoff over energy resources represents a major obstacle to cooperation, transforming a potential area of mutual benefit into another source of deep-seated conflict and mistrust. The history of political interference is long and deeply ingrained in the Cambodia-Thailand relationship. For centuries, the more powerful Siamese kingdom meddled in the affairs of the Khmer court. This legacy casts a long shadow over modern politics. Today, it's less about installing kings and more about providing sanctuary or support to political opponents. The porous border has often served as a refuge for dissidents, rebels, and deposed leaders. Cambodia sees this as a hostile act, a violation of sovereignty. It fuels paranoia in Phnom Penh and makes diplomatic trust nearly impossible. The Thaksin-Hun Sen friendship caused major diplomatic headaches. Thaksin was ousted in a military coup. His ties to Hun Sen became a flashpoint. Cambodia appointed Thaksin as an economic advisor. Bangkok was enraged and recalled ambassadors. These personal alliances can override diplomatic protocols and turn the bilateral relationship into personal battles. When diplomacy fails and nationalist rhetoric boils over, the conflict between Cambodia and Thailand has often turned violent. The clashes around the Preah Vihear Temple from 2008 to 2011 are the most stark recent example. These were not minor border skirmishes. They were sustained battles involving thousands of troops, heavy artillery, and rocket launchers. Both sides suffered casualties, military and civilian, and entire villages near the border had to be evacuated. These events left deep scars, reinforcing the image of the other nation not just as a rival, but as a violent and aggressive enemy. The legacy of these armed conflicts is a profound and enduring military mistrust. This creates a security dilemma. One side builds up its defenses to feel more secure, but this action is seen as a threat by the other side, prompting it to build up its own defenses in response. This escalates tensions and makes accidental conflict more likely. This military buildup has tangible consequences for both nations. It diverts precious resources away from crucial areas like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. For the generals and politicians who led these confrontations, their hardline stance becomes a part of their political identity. This makes it incredibly difficult for them to later advocate for compromise or de-escalation without appearing weak or treacherous, thus locking both nations into a posture of military readiness and perpetual mistrust. In the modern age, conflicts are not just fought with soldiers and weapons, but with words and images. The battle for public opinion is a critical front in the Cambodia-Thailand rivalry. The media in both countries often act as amplifiers of nationalist sentiment. When a border dispute arises, media on both sides push one-sided narratives. They cast their own nation as the victim and the neighbor as the aggressor. Historical facts are selectively chosen or distorted. The public ends up with a filtered, polarized version of events. Politicians exploit this biased media landscape. They leak information, make inflammatory statements, and stage patriotic events. That lets them control the narrative, rally support for hardline policies, and deflect attention from issues like corruption or economic problems. The result is institutionalized mistrust. Generations grow up on news that paints the neighbor negatively. That shapes worldviews and blocks reconciliation. Instead of bridges, the media deepen the trench between societies, passing animosities to the next generation. If traditional media created an echo chamber, the rise of social media has turned it into a feedback loop of unprecedented speed and intensity. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok have become the new primary battlegrounds for the Cambodia-Thailand conflict. Here, the rapid spread of misinformation, hate speech, and conspiracy theories is possible. A single false rumor can now reach millions of people in a matter of hours, not days, making it even more potent and dangerous. Nationalist cyber warriors on both sides use these platforms to wage a constant information war. They create and share content that glorifies their own country and demonizes the other. They flood comment sections, engage in online arguments, and create a toxic digital environment where reasoned debate is impossible. For younger generations who get much of their information from these sources, this digital vitriol becomes their main lens for viewing the neighboring country. Social media algorithms designed to maximize engagement often reward sensational and emotionally charged content. This means that the most extreme and divisive voices are often the loudest and have the furthest reach. The pervasiveness of social media ensures that the conflict is never truly dormant. Even during periods of diplomatic calm, the online war continues unabated, keeping the embers of animosity glowing. This constant low-level digital hostility poisons the well of public opinion, making any future efforts at reconciliation that much harder. We have journeyed through a complex and troubled history, exploring 15 fundamental reasons that have kept Cambodia and Thailand locked in a cycle of conflict. From the ghost of Angkor and the clash of historical narratives, to the battle over the Preah Vihear temple, to the modern pressures of economic imbalance, political interference, military mistrust, and a relentless information war. We have journeyed through a complex and troubled history. It is an exercise in empathy. It shows us that this is not a simple story of good versus evil. It is a tragedy of two proud nations, deeply intertwined by geography and culture, yet held captive by the weight of their own histories. The impact of this enduring conflict is profound. It has cost lives, displaced communities, and diverted vast sums of money from development to defense. It has hindered regional cooperation and prevented both nations from fully realizing the benefits of a peaceful and collaborative partnership. The cost of this conflict is measured in lost opportunities, stunted growth, and most tragically, in human potential wasted on division instead of cooperation. So why does understanding this matter today on May 24, 2024? It matters because peace is not inevitable. It must be consciously built. It requires leaders who are willing to look beyond short-term political gains and resist the easy temptation of nationalist rhetoric. It requires a media that chooses to build bridges rather than walls, and educational systems that teach history in a way that fosters mutual understanding, not mutual hatred. And it requires ordinary citizens to question the information they consume, to resist the lure of online hate, and to see the humanity in their neighbors across the border. The path to lasting peace between Cambodia and Thailand is steep and fraught with challenges. The grievances are deep, and the mistrust is well entrenched, but it is not an impossible path. By understanding the intricate web of historical, cultural, political, and economic factors that fuel the conflict, we can better identify the opportunities for change. The first step is always understanding. Only by confronting the ghosts of the past and the realities of the present can these two neighboring kingdoms hope to one day finally lay down the weight of their shared history and walk together into a more peaceful and prosperous future.